Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SEPS Paranormal Podcast. My name is Paul Cagle, and joining me on the show today is my co-host, Eric Aldridge.
And I unmuted my microphone just in time to talk because I didn't want to talk accidentally over the music. So
I think you are lower than I am, Eric. We should have done a sound test before we started, but we were busy talking.
I thought we were doing a sound test.
No.
Like I could hear you fine.
Yeah, and I can hear you fine, but you're not going across the air as loud as I am. But anyway, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, just hanging right in there.
Well, I'm glad one of us is. No, but how's your weekend been so far?
Busy, just like the last several weekends. You know, we've got a lot of evidence to review with MVP, and I hope the team members are doing a little bit to help out. I'm trying, but yeah, just busy.
Yep. Us too. We've had a couple of investigations and trying to stay on top of everything. And we jokingly said we were going to do a show on how frustrated we get with everything going on sometimes.
I don't think we can say the title of that show that we discussed.
Yeah, we can't. But, hey, whatever. But yeah, welcome to the SEPS Paranormal Podcast. You're welcome. So, today's topic is on paranormal portals. And basically, it came about, actually, I was trying to get the music to kind of fade out, but it was fighting me. So, Eric, why don't you tell everyone how the topic got started?
Well, the more we go on doing this paranormal investigation thing, the more we hear people saying that they have paranormal portals in their home or in their business or whatever. I'm hearing it more and more. I had a guy contact me a couple months ago that was actually interested in being on one of our podcasts with us that said he had a portal in his bathroom. And I've heard of portals in closets, and, I don't know that I've ever actually come across one. It's hard to tell. But, I found it interesting. I found the topic interesting that, could there be portals that where you can basically jump from one dimension to another? Is there something to it?
Right. And I think it'd be a good thing to kind of give a definition so that we kind of all are on the same page of what we're talking about. But if you're not familiar with this topic, paranormal portals are, what's the best way to describe it? They are doorways or portals to a different realm of existence. Some people believe that it's to the realm of the dead. Some people believe it's alternate realities. Some people believe it is string theory in action, and people believe that entities can come through these portals, and that's why there are hauntings. Now, this is a controversial topic among ghost hunters, because some people swear by them and some people say that they don't exist. And I don't know. I'm kind of the idea that every single place that's haunted has to have a paranormal portal would, to me, imply that there were big rips in the time-space continuum, or at least in reality, to allow these things to move back and forth. And I kind of wanted to get your take on that.
Well, there are some places that aren't just scary hospitals or insane asylums or anything like that just seem to be extra haunted. For whatever reason, people can't live there. People can't own a business there. There's always something strange going on there. Weird occurrences happening. And in instances like that where it's just the same, different people have similar experiences in one location, I can see where the possibility of a portal being there, I mean, it is a possibility. I don't see how it's possible every place that's haunted has a portal. I think that's a little much. But, in those extra, like the house that Zach Baggins bought a few years ago that he was going to do the big documentary
Right,
on.
that he destroyed it.
Yeah, I think the possibility of a portal there, if all the claims were true in that place, I think that's a possibility. But when somebody calls and says I have a ghost in my house, or I think I have 3 or 4 ghosts in my house, I must have a portal. I'm kind of skeptical on that.
Now, I've never gotten a call where the client has said they think they have a portal in their house. Because most people that I know don't know what a paranormal portal is. Now, some people also consider, like, if I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, but the vortices or a vortex,
Mm-hmm.
they consider that to be a paranormal portal as well. And for those of you that don't know, a vortex or vortices, which is the plural, is a ribbon of light that you can sometimes photograph with a digital camera. And on one of our first investigations, we were at an old country church, and we didn't realize how big this graveyard was. And I'd gone once, and we had been chased out by bugs, and so we went back, and this was years later, but it was with my group, and we decided to investigate. And I didn't realize how huge this graveyard was. But it was way out in the country, and it was hard to find. I just happened to know where it was because I had to pass by to get to a friend's house that lived out in the boondocks. But we had gotten a hit on the EMF detector and a temperature drop. And so we started moving towards it. And then we get another hit on the EMF detector and another drop in temperature, and we followed it up this hill until finally the person that was holding the equipment said, take a picture right here between these 2 gravestones. And they were really, really old, for like maybe the 1800s. And we took a picture, and I got a picture of a vortices, of a vortex. And it's just a ribbon of light. You can go to sepsparanormal.org and look at our pictures to see it. And I actually got 2 pictures of it. Now, sometimes it can a vortex can actually be your camera strap hanging down in front of your camera, and with the flashes on it, it makes it look like a ribbon of light when it's not. So you have to be very careful about that. But we did not have camera straps on our cameras for that reason. And I got 2 pictures of it. Now, some people believe that a vortex is a entity moving, and we just happen to capture it. And some people believe that it is a portal between the realm of the living and the dead. Have you guys ever gotten a picture like that or anything similar?
The only thing similar that we've got was out at the Albion College last summer, and somebody snapped a picture of one of our investigators, and when you're running a handheld camera, sometimes you can take a picture of you can get a stream of the infrared of the handheld camera.
Right.
Well, these were blue and green. Like, we got blue and green lights coming off of it, which, it's not a full
Yeah, I think I saw
spectrum
that
camera.
one.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I know you've seen the pictures, and we've never been able to explain them. And, I don't know if the vortices that you're talking about, I mean, if they're just white, or, I mean, can they be different colors? 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that was really we never really considered that option, that's what it could have been.
I think so. I don't think they have to be a particular color. But they usually just look like a ribbon of light, like a light. I don't even know how to explain it. I've got a picture of it on the website. I should have copied it over so I could have put it in the chat room. But it's just a ribbon of light that kind of circles around. It looks like a big glowing kind of worm in the air, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's a good way to describe it. Just thinking back to the pictures that we have, and I think I posted those pictures on mvpara.com too, just right on our front wall, the scrolling thing. That's as technical as I get with our web page there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that's I throw the red ones out just because if somebody's holding a handheld camera with that IR light, sometimes you can catch that red stream. But I'd never seen blue and green before, and I have seen pictures with the what you're talking about, the ribbon of white, and it's sometimes it's really hard to tell whether it was a bug or not,
Right.
or if it was actually light.
And it is. With a bug, though, sometimes it will be a broken ribbon of light. It won't be solid because the wings flapping and then it moving through the air. So that's usually the difference. But this is a solid ribbon of light. And some people believe that that is a portal. It's where our world and the spirit world touch, and it's where they're allowed to come through and pass back and forth. And I don't think that all places have a paranormal portal. I don't believe that there necessarily has to be one there. There are some people that believe that someone dying at a house does not a haunting make, but it's that there is a paranormal portal allowing entities to pass back and forth. And some people believe that these are not ghosts, that these are actually dimensional creatures of some sort, or even the past. That it touches a place in the past, and we've talked about this on the show about the gravitational waves and stuff like that. So some people believe that it's where, there are different schools of thought of what is on the other side of that, or if it's even real. I believe that there could be a paranormal portal in places like hospitals where a lot of people have died and gone back and forth, or a place of a lot of deaths or something like that, so that the entities can pass back and forth more easily.
Yeah, and I mean, do you think that we can actually create paranormal portals? Because there was an episode of Taps years back when I used to watch that stuff, that there was a lady that kept doing her own EVPs. 1 second, please.
He's losing his voice.
There's the cough button. Okay. So she was doing EVPs in her own house, and she got obsessed with it. Like, she was doing them, like, when she was awake, she was doing EVPs, and she brought a bunch of things in because she was trying to communicate so hard. And one of their theories were that she had opened a portal by trying to communicate so hard. Do you think that's possible?
I guess that's possible. And it could also be what happens when somebody uses a Ouija board. That when you use a Ouija board, somehow you are tapping into the energies and creating a portal that remains open, and that's why people consider them so dangerous.
Right.
But that would make sense to me, that if you were sitting around talking to spirits all the time, the more you bring over, the more you attract to you, the more it might open a portal where you live. That makes sense to me. But Tater in the chat room asked an interesting question. He said, could that be how transient spirits get around, or only dimensional beings? And that's a good question, Tater.
That's a very good question.
That could be how transient spirits move around. It could be that they're going from portal to portal and either are traveling or don't know where they're going, or they have somewhere specific in mind and they're just moving through. That would be kind of an interesting theory, actually.
Just kind of interdimensional tourists.
Yeah. It's like they want to go from point A to point Z to get somewhere they're familiar with, but they have to go through A, B, C, D, E, and F to get there. And that would be interesting.
And then they just stop and get their picture taken along the way, too, and make our day.
Yeah, they're like, cheese. They throw a gang sign or something. I don't know.
There you go.
Oh, no, I'm talking about as usual.
Duck face.
Yeah, there you go. They're planking. They're doing all all the previous things that were done on the interwebs. They're like a season behind on YouTube. Tater said a spiritual subway. It's possible, Tater. That would kind of make sense, I guess.
That's actually a really cool theory.
Yeah. But, the point is nobody knows actually what they are or if they even exist. It's a theory. But like I said, it would make sense to me that there might be a paranormal portal at places like hospitals where a lot of people pass away, or where, like if there was a big wreck somewhere or something like that. But you would have to wonder what would create that kind of doorway between the living and the dead, or whatever interdimensional beings are out there. But one of the theories that I saw, and I thought this was interesting, Eric, was when people die, they see a tunnel of light when they pass away. They were talking about near-death experiences, and they believe that is them seeing the paranormal portal that's there that allows them to pass into death. And I wanted to know what you thought about that.
That's a very interesting thought. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're moving from one dimension to another, I mean, basically I would think you would have to take some sort of hallway, or some sort of direction. And if that's what we have to work with in between the two dimensions is a portal, basically a hallway, then yeah. But I mean, how do you control who goes out, who comes in? Like how do you, I don't know, how do you control that?
Maybe it's only one way, and maybe it's only keyed to the soul that just passed away. But that's something that they brought up in the article that I read, was if when you pass away and there's a paranormal portal that opens to allow you into the afterlife, how do you know something's not passing back through it as you're going in, it's coming out? Or if enough people have passed away in a location like a hospital, that paranormal portal stays open because there's so many people passing through it every day. And so it's like it starts as maybe a small hole, and then as more people die, it gets larger and larger and larger, and then eventually just can't shut anymore because there's so much traffic through it. And I thought that was interesting.
Right. And I mean, there's also theories too that when you die, your spirit guide or family members or whatever are there to greet you. Are they coming through to help you back through?
Oh, that's a good point.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting topic. I mean, it doesn't always have to go back to scary evil demons, jumping portals to come and get you. They can be used for good as well, it looks like. So.
Right. And that would kind of make sense, because I've heard of a lot of people who, right before they passed away, will say, "Oh, my mother's here," or "My husband that passed away is here."
Right.
Or, they will see past loved ones. How did they get there? They had to come through somehow. So maybe there is, like in a hospital, there is a paranormal portal that allows entities access back and forth, where they can come through and visit their loved ones and say, "Hey, it's time to go. I'm going to guide you through." That's a good point, Eric.
Right. And I mean, there's times too where basically your spirit leaves your body days or even weeks before your body actually dies. And, are you crossing through that portal, when your spirit leaves the body? Like if you're just alive just because of your organs at that point. Are you actually going through the portal, or are you just roaming around there waiting for your body to actually release you? Or, I guess that's a whole new series of questions there.
Well,
So.
I've wondered that too, because I had a friend that several years ago had a heart attack, and he went without oxygen for many, many minutes, like way longer than he should have. And when they finally got to him and gave him CPR and got him to the hospital, he was brain dead. And they had him on a ventilator, and they had him on, stuff to keep him going. But I was like, is his soul still inside of his body, or is he already passed on? Because they were like, he'll never recover. So Tater put a picture of the paranormal portal in the chat room.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I'm glad you didn't too, Eric.
Yeah. Well, now I'm looking at that portal, and I want to dive right through there. I forgot what I was going to say just because I'm looking at his picture of a paranormal portal.
Well, tell me what's on the other side. Take your microphone with you and
All right.
walk us through it as you go.
Well, yeah, eyewitness report.
Yeah. It's like, I feel cold. I feel
Uh,
beep. Well, we lost Eric.
there's
And,
Elvis. I
and,
see Elvis.
and now we need a new co host. Right. But, but, with, with paranormal portals, honestly, we don't know what they are. But there was something that I found, that was, I was looking for it here. And see, nobody agrees on what it is. This one says a paranormal portal is a ghostly portal, or it says a ghostly portal is a ghost hunter's dream. It's an opening with multiple ghost lights and Class A EVP. Now, I've never heard that before.
I haven't either.
They're not common, and they aren't the reason for most hauntings. And it goes on to say what causes a paranormal portal, and I thought it was kind of interesting. It says, look for a haunting near a body of water. And, it goes on to talk about water and stuff like that. And it could be running water, or it could be a stagnant pool, either one. But there's a lot of underground streams that we don't even know about,
Right.
that run underground. Now, I do know, and, I've had this theory that the electromagnetic field of the Earth is what allows ghosts to remain here. It kind of insulates them from passing on, or it gives them a place to kind of hide out, like a recording on a VCR. But I know that water over limestone will create a natural EM field. And I've actually witnessed it. We were underground in a cave, and there was a crack in the cave wall, and there was water trickling through it. And I said, I just want to test this. There's no power down there at all. And I held the EM meter up to the trickling water, and sure enough, I got a reading off of it. So water over stone, certain stones, will cause a natural electromagnetic field. And so that one kind of makes sense that, bodies of water would be where paranormal portals might be located.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. And now limestone, that a lot of homes back east have foundations, if I'm not mistaken, built out of limestone, or the ground has limestone in it, and they seem to be more paranormally active too. Is that correct? Because I'm out here in the West, we don't have that stuff out here.
I know that, like here in Tennessee, I think it's a lot of limestone. So that's why they believe that limestone can collect paranormal energy.
Okay.
And so that's why it works. Like it absorbs energy. And so that's why water
So it
over
absorbs
limestone.
it more than it amplifies it. It's more of it
Right.
absorbs it and holds on to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
like records it.
Okay.
And to me, that would make sense, especially with the electromagnetic field, water running over it, and creating a EM field. To me, that would make sense that it could kind of insulate the energy and keep it there. So, and I've heard
Okay.
that like Chattanooga is built on limestone. I don't know if it's true or not, but the other thing says traumatic events plus water equals ghostly portals, and it just talks about how a traumatic event can also be the spark that turns a local haunt into a portal, and goes on to talk about what was seen at certain locations with water and places where people have died. Do you guys have a place like that? Like anything like where a big major tragic event took place and there's running water or water there?
Oh yeah, I mean along the Oregon Trail, and that also runs along the Snake River in a lot of places. Where a lot of battles between settlers and Native Americans happened. There's some paranormal hotspots there. Right here in Twin Falls, we have the Perrine Bridge, which is one of only two bridges in the United States that you're legally allowed to base jump from. And there's base jumping accidents, people do commit suicide off of that bridge. So, with a giant river underneath it. So, I mean, and I have investigated down in the canyon before, not below that bridge, but, along the Snake River, and a place with no electricity, that the K2 meter was going crazy. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know, how that would relate to a portal, but, I definitely, water, I think can amplify things.
Right, and we've gone on investigations before, and one thing that I read said you should always ask a client if they have running water near or under their house, because that can lead to a paranormal haunting. And I'm like, that's a weird question to ask because not everyone's going to know that, But I thought it was interesting that they think it's important enough to ask, whether or not they have that around where they live. But
I mean, just a water line tapped into the city water. I mean, would that count as running water underneath your house, or are you talking like in a place that has a well?
I think it would have to be natural, like a well,
okay.
And it would have to be over stone to create probably an EM field. And this article goes on to say signs of a ghostly portal. When a portal opens, it tends to generate so much ghostly activities, you have a difficult time recording it all. It's quite stunning. Ghost lights swirl, spirits speak, and apparitions appear. You have to be quick to record it because portals do not stay open very long. It usually happens in a burst of 5 minutes or less. Portals can form at any time, so your team may need to go on a vigil. Now, I've never been anywhere where something opened and it was just boom, 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 boom. Normally it's an all-night affair and it's a lot of waiting and it can get boring because you're sitting there going, I want something to happen. Something needs to happen. Give me an EVP. Something, I don't care what. And then, you might get an EVP.
Right. And the way they're describing it, you're going to be waiting for Stay Puft the Marshmallow Man to come stomping at you.
Yeah.
From the sounds of it.
Yeah, then it'd be so obvious, and it only lasts for 5 minutes. I wonder where they collected this data from. I wonder if they actually did research on this, or if they're just going by hearsay or something. I don't know. But
I'm not sure.
I've never known anything to just go in like 5-minute increments. I've known things to go back and forth, and be like high levels and low levels, but never just like 5 minutes gone, and then 30 minutes later, 5 minutes gone, and 30 minutes later, 5 minutes gone, or whatever.
I've been in places where it's really active for 30 minutes. There's a lot going on, bangs, cracks, whatever, EVPs, and then it's silent for 3 hours with no activity, and then it picks back up again for 30 minutes. I've done that, but nothing like 5 minutes and you can't possibly record all of everything that's going on.
Right.
Like that I mean, I would just retire after
that would be
a place like that. You won't top that.
That would be a ghost hunter's dream come true,
Yeah.
Figure out the pattern and only work for 5 minutes a night. We would be happy. We'd be
5 minutes of review.
We
awesome.
found out that your place is haunted. There is a portal here. Instead of the sometimes
with that. We're
hours and hours that we spend doing that, But this is bridges are notorious for ghostly portals as well. Well, of course they are, because bridges go over water. Duh. So that was kind of weird. But there are a lot of accidents and stuff on bridges too.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, once again, it's a bunch of theories. No one knows, what causes them. And, if a guy can have one form in his bathroom,
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes.
Well, I just wanted to read this real quick. It says, portals and ghost photos. Finally, we should note that in ghost photographs, many ghost hunters, especially novices, strongly believe in the idea of vortexes as evidence of these portals. For those who believe that doorways are being photographed, we do not know either way. A vortex will usually appear as a streak of white ectoplasm mist and can often be confused with photos of accidentally photographed camera traps captured hanging in front of the lens. And that's what I was talking about earlier.
Right.
But, yeah. But, hey, other than that one picture you were talking about, have you guys ever photographed a paranormal, what you thought was a vortex or a portal?
Um, at my cousin's house, it wasn't really an investigation. Her daughter was seeing a lot of things, and so I decided to go over there. Me and my mom, actually, we went over there to try to, see if we could just make the little girl feel better. And one of the pictures I took, it wasn't like that, but it was. I took a picture of the door, and right around the lock, where it was an old style lock where you'd have the great big key that went in below the doorknob. Through that lock, there was like a beam of light. It wasn't, and there was no lights on the other side of that door or anything. You couldn't see light through it, but it was almost like a beam of light was coming out of that. And that was in the same room where she suspected that there was a portal in the closet. I didn't see any proof of that. I actually, and here we go, Paul, load up your jokes.
Oh,
I
Lord.
locked myself in the closet for about an hour and a half, something like that. And, I didn't have any experiences in there.
Well, I can tell you from experience that you need to kick that closet door open and come out, girl. You just need to come out the closet.
I knew it was coming.
You will be so much happier, trust me.
Yeah, I'll give you a hey
Girl.
when I get out. So
I just posted I'm posting one of the paranormal vortex pictures that we got.
Oh, okay.
That was one of them that we got, and I don't know where the other one is. I may have lost it. But I don't know. It looks weird. It looks like the light is trailing in a weird way. And, that's why a lot of people said, oh, that's your camera strap. I'm like, there was no camera strap on it. Could have been something else, but there was no camera strap.
That is definitely not a bug. That is really cool. I like that
There's
picture.
another one, too, and I don't know where it's at. I thought it was on the website, but apparently I chose not to put it up.
Now, what is that in between the two lines there? It almost looks like there's lightning in between it.
It's trees in the background.
It is trees. Okay.
Yeah, the camera was so poor quality that it just wasn't taking good pictures. Paranormal string cheese, that's right. That it just was not taking good pictures. And I think that was one of the few times I ever used that camera. But we had gotten like a temperature drop, an EM spike, and I think that was it. But it led us up the hill, and somebody said, take a picture right here, which is where it ended. And I took that picture, and that's what I got.
You should post this over on our SEP's Paranormal fan page on Facebook.
Yes, I should. I will do that.
And if you're listening to this on the, not live, which shame on you, but if you listen to it later, then you should head on over to our SEP's Paranormal fan page on Facebook and check out this picture.
Check it out.
Look at that. That was a pretty good plug.
Ta-da. Thank you.
But I'm glad you were I'm glad you were able to identify that, because I'm just looking at this, and it does, in between the two streaks there, it does look like lightning in between. And now that you say that there was trees back there, I can see that they're trees, but it does look like there's almost energy in between them.
Right.
So I'm glad you can identify that.
Yeah. And I'm going to post another picture in the chat room, and this was from a different graveyard, but I've always wondered if this was some sort of paranormal portal forming or trying to form that we took in one of the graveyards here locally. It's trying to upload it. It may take a year or 20.
And while you're doing that, I'm actually looking for my Albion picture right now so that I can post it in there.
But if you look at that, there's a swirly, misty thing up in the trees. And that was one of the claims, was that that something would sit in the trees and watch people. And so we were taking pictures, and Lee got a temperature drop, and then we took that picture behind him, and we got that swirly mist in the trees. So I thought that was interesting. But I've always wondered if that was some sort of portal, or if it was an entity that we captured, or if it was just foggy that night, which it kind of was, but I don't know.
Let's see. Let's see if this is the right one. I'm looking at tiny little thumbnails. I'm trying to post it in the
Yeah.
chat room as we speak.
Um, One of the things that I read, though, said that not all graveyards are haunted, and the graveyards that are haunted are due to paranormal portals. And I thought that was an interesting statement. What do you think about that?
I'm sorry, Paul. My mic cut out a little bit. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, it's something I read said that not all graveyards are haunted, and those that are due to a paranormal portal being present.
I, 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 I don't think so. I mean, honestly, my thoughts on graveyards are very different than a lot of people's. I've never had a whole lot of experiences out of graveyards, and my personal belief has always been that the spirit has left the body by the time they, get laid to rest, and so I don't see why there would be a lot of spirits at a graveyard. But I mean, groups like yours, you've gotten a lot of great evidence out there, and other groups too,
Right.
at graveyards. So I mean, I guess I would have to kind of see it to believe it, but I don't necessarily think that a graveyard is actually the best place for a portal.
I don't either, but I do believe that most, if not all, graveyards are haunted. Because if someone passed away suddenly and they don't know that they're dead, and they have a connection to their body, and I've talked about this before, then wherever you're laid to rest is kind of where you might be tempted to land, because we are so body conscious these days of our weight and our looks and our hair and our arms and our musculature and our build. We are so body conscious that we are absorbed by it sometimes. And I believe that people are still attached to their bodies after death because of that. You've made such a strong connection. Not only did it house you, your soul or spirit or whatever, for ever how many years you were alive on the planet, but it also you're kind of people get obsessed with their looks. You know, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm not muscular enough, I'm not pretty enough, and people are obsessed by it. And I think that kind of creates a sympathetic link to our bodies after we pass away, and that sometimes we just kind of follow it back to wherever it's at if we don't know we're dead, and we kind of end up there.
Hmm. I mean, that's a very interesting take on it, actually. So,
But one of the things that I also read said that um, portals and graveyards are not there because it's a graveyard. The graveyard is there because it's a paranormal portal. That something in the human psyche sensed that they were on sacred ground, or that there was something different about that ground, that there was something different about it, and they decided to put it there, put a graveyard there, because there was a paranormal portal there that fed on their subconscious.
hmm.
And I thought that was interesting, but I don't necessarily agree with it.
Yeah, maybe in some cases that's because I mean there are cemeteries and graveyards that are, I mean, famous throughout the world. We have one right here in Idaho, up at Idaho City, that is a very famous paranormal hotspot. So, maybe in some, especially those older ones, not like the ones that are really active right now, but the ones that they started, in a different time, maybe that did have something to do with why they put it on a certain piece of land.
And they said that Native Americans, that's the reason why they chose the locations for their burial mounds that they did, is because they sensed those portals. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just telling you what I read. But that they had sensed those portals, and that's why they had put burial mounds there and why they were sacred ground.
Hmm.
So who knows?
Yeah. And I'm sorry about the picture in the chat room. It was just a blue electrical wire because I was looking at a small little thumbnail when I was trying to post it.
Wow, that looks real.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to claim that as paranormal evidence by any stretch. I
And
can't find that picture that I'm
and
trying to.
Tater said a vibrational connection to the body, sort of a spiritual anchor point. Exactly. as far as being linked to your body in a graveyard and following it back. A
Sure.
lot of people talk about the silver cord that people use when they astrally travel. If you pass away and you're stuck on the in the earthly realm, we don't know that spiritual cord is not still somehow connected, and that may be part of why you can't pass on, is because that silver cord didn't disconnect and allow you to go, and so that's why you're still tethered here. And of
And
course, if it was to your body, then you're going to go to the graveyard where it's buried.
and is that silver cord a portal back to your body too?
That's interesting. Could be. And who knows? I mean, the vortex or the vortices that we're seeing could be the silver cord of a spiritual being that's left its home realm to travel here. I don't know. We could speculate all night
Yeah,
long
we can.
and still not be any closer to knowing what we're talking about
Right.
or what it is. But that would be interesting.
But we could sound really cool doing it.
That's true. Hopefully, hopefully, something I say doesn't sound stupid, and
We could fool somebody into thinking we know what we're talking about here.
yeah, we do it every week, but I mean every 2 weeks, but yeah, and one thing that I wanted to note when we're talking about portals and portals into the afterlife in particular is that during funerals and during wakes and stuff like that, in the olden days and still in some cultures today, all mirrors in the house would be covered because people believed that ghosts could travel back and forth through them. And if they were holding a wake or a funeral, they would cover the mirrors so that it did not act as a portal to the afterlife.
And when we do cleansings in houses, Layla makes sure that all of the mirrors or any reflective surface is covered for just that reason.
And so, what if mirrors in houses were why houses were paranormally active?
I'm sorry, Paul, my mic cut out again. Can you say that one more time?
What if mirrors in houses are the reason why places are haunted?
Mirrors in houses.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah. As a matter of fact, there was one with Pocatello Paranormal Research, a team I used to be with before I started MVP, that we were investigating a house that they had a mirror that all of the paranormal energy seemed to revolve around this mirror, and I wish I had more specifics on it, but I believe, if I remember right, Pocatello Paranormal ended up disposing of and destroying that mirror for them, and basically removing it for them. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, it was all like every house they went to, they had the same kind of hauntings, and the one thing it had in common was that mirror was always around where the haunting was, wherever the room was. They had it in the garage. Stuff started happening in the garage. They had it covered and buried in the garage, and stuff was still going on in the garage.
Well, I wonder if that was an attachment or if that was because the mirror was acting as a paranormal portal of some sort.
I'm honestly not sure on that.
That would be an interesting theory to try and test out. Just because. But one of the things, are you familiar with the Devil's Toy Box?
No.
It's basically where you take, see how many is it? 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's 6 mirrors, and you face them all inward, and you make a box of mirrors out of it. But instead of the shiny side, the reflective side being outside, it's on the inside. And so any entity that gets stuck in there can only see a reflection of a reflection of a reflection of a reflection onto infinity, and then it gets stuck in there and can't get out. And some people have built these things, and you build them with tape or whatever. You tape the sides together and make a cube out of it, and you're supposed to be able to trap entities in there. And some people will allegedly trap entities in there and get these recordings of something growling out of the box or something yelling for help out of the box or something like that. and it's supposed to just kind of keep the entity lost in infinity of just mirror after mirror after mirror.
That's very interesting. Now, I know, like, I may be getting off subject here, but like in a carnival or whatever, that you go into the House of Mirrors, that it plays such tricks with your mind, all the reflective surfaces. I wonder if that has anything to do with it, that, it's playing tricks with your mind, or if it actually does trap spirits.
Well, you don't see what's inside there, because once you, and this is what I've never understood, you close the box up and you seal it, and there's no light inside. So how does an entity get trapped in there to begin with, and how does it get lost in infinity if there is no reflection to give back?
Okay, I see. I see what you're saying now.
That makes
Okay.
no sense whatsoever. And I think that, what is the name of, it's the Ghost Asylum. I think Ghost Asylum made a room-sized Devil's Toy box. It was all mirrors, where it was like all mirrored walls, and whoever went in there got sick or something. I don't know. But this is usually smaller. It's usually, probably the what do you call it? The pieces that you use are usually like 6 to 8 inches square, and then you just put it together and make a cube out of it. But all of the mirrors face inward. But once you seal it, there's no light that's getting in there. So how does an entity get lost in infinity if there's no light, no reflection? That's never made any sense to me.
Right. And I mean, how do you know you have it trapped in there to seal it off?
Because it growls at you.
Oh,
apparently.
Okay.
I don't know. But I made one before. Well, actually, we made 2 of them. And one we made with no light source on the inside. And then the second one we made, we took some fishing wire or some fishing line, and we attached an LED to it and put it in there and sealed it up. And I never got any evidence off of either one of them.
Huh.
But
I don't know.
I waited. I had it setting forever on my kitchen counter, and I was just waiting for something to growl at me, and nothing ever happened. As a matter of fact, I had 2 LEDs that I turned on at the exact same time. They were the exact same type of light. It was like a twist thing that you turn on, and I put one above my microwave and one inside the box, and I watched to see how long the one above the microwave stayed on, so I could guess how long the one inside the box was on. And that way I kind of got a feel for how long there was a reflection inside the box. And I, listened to the box and tested the box until that light, the one above the microwave, went out. And I assumed the other one had gone out too, and nothing ever happened with it.
Well, what did you ever do with it? I mean, did you ever open it up, or did you just get rid of it, or?
I never opened it up. I don't think you're supposed to. They had one on, was it Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures? Or maybe it was Ghost Asylum. I don't remember which one it was. But they blew it up with dynamite because they didn't want anything escaping out of it. And allegedly there was something growling and trying to get out or something. And to keep it from doing so, they exploded it with dynamite so that it was in tiny shards so that nothing could escape from it.
But it's energy. I mean,
yeah.
Once they blow it up, isn't the energy just released back? I mean, you would think that, throw it in a bucket of holy water or something.
Yeah, I don't know. The one I had, I think I eventually gave away because we would make them and give them away if nothing happened, which probably wasn't the brightest thing we could have done.
Not.
But I don't overreact to that stuff. I don't believe that something is going to get in that box and then I'm going to give it to someone and they're going to get possessed. I don't believe that's going to happen. It could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But of the ones that we made, and there were 2 or 3 of them because we did an experiment, and we actually put one of them on the Steps Paranormal podcast as we were making it. And the ones that we made, Richard had one, I had one. We gave somebody else won, and as far as I know, nothing ever happened with any of them.
You've given me a great idea for Christmas presents for some people, though.
Yeah. Well, we thought about making them. We thought about making them a smaller, smaller, like 2 or 3 inches, because you can go to Michael's and places like that and get those little reflective tiles that are glass tiles,
Right.
and just make a little bitty tiny one, and giving them away as Christmas presents, or auctioning them off to people. But then you have to ask, is that responsible? Is that safe? Is it? And the people who overreact out there are probably fainting right now and swooning from just the idea of it. But having made 3 of them and nothing happened to any of them, then in my experience, this is a safe thing. It's not. I'm not saying something couldn't get trapped in it. I'm just saying, to me, it makes no freaking sense, because how are you going to trap something with no light? If there's no light source and it can't see that it's trapped in infinity, then basically all it's doing is hitting a glass side when it gets close to it.
I don't quite understand how it's attracted to that, to even
I don't
get
either.
itself trapped in there. I mean, not to make a joke, but you got to put cheese in there or something. You got to attract it in there in order to trap it.
Right.
Like, why would it just decide, hey, I'm going to go in here for no reason?
And I don't know. I think it has to do with, they believe that like demons or ghosts travel through dimensions, and that one of those mirrors could be a dimension it travels through. And once it hits that mirror, then it realizes, oh wait, there are 1,000 mirrors here. Let's keep going, and it keeps traveling through the next image, and next image, and next image, and just gets trapped and can't get out because it can't find its way. Because no matter which way it looks, it's going to be a mirror.
Right.
But how do you see that with no light? I don't know. It just made no freaking sense to me.
Yeah. But there's, just discussing this topic, there's a lot of different theories about paranormal portals and what they could be.
Right. And what would happen if you put a devil's toy box in the middle of a paranormal portal? Would something get trapped in it? Or would it just do nothing?
That'd be interesting. Yeah, if you knew right where the portal dropped, just set one of those there and say, all right, just shut this closet. Never use this closet again.
Yeah, just let this thing vacuum it all up, and everything will be stuck in there, and eventually they'll quit using it. But I don't know. It would be interesting to try, but I wouldn't want to trap just an innocent soul that was, or spirit that was traveling back and forth and wasn't harming anyone or up to any mischief. And now you've got it trapped in this infinity mirror, and, I don't know. It just seems kind of weird to me. But we're almost out of time. We've got about 7 minutes left. But one of the things that I wanted to know about or one thing that I was curious about was, if you have a paranormal portal in your house, how would you get rid of the ghosts that were there? Like when you guys do cleansings and people do exorcisms, would a cleansing or an exorcism actually close a paranormal portal, or would your cleansing only temporarily get rid of what was there, and then the portal's still open, so things just travel in afterwards?
In all honesty, I'm going to have to say that, to my knowledge, the cleansings that we do will not close an open portal. It's basically just meant to attach, whatever entities are there to the smoke and release it back into the universe and remove it from that space. But as far as closing a portal, I don't even know how. If we don't even have an understanding of really what they are or how they form or why they're there, I don't know how we can close one.
Or if they're there,
Exactly.
And would an exorcism work on that? If you were banishing a demon and you were focused on getting a demon out of the house, would that necessarily close the paranormal portal? Because to me, you're trying two different things. With a portal, you're trying to shut something down. With a demon, you're trying to expel it or exorcise it out. So if you were to have a demon infestation, let's say, and it was coming through a portal and you didn't know it, and you just got rid of all the demons, and the portal's still open, that would just allow them to just traipse right on back in there.
Right.
You know, after all the holiness had worn off, and the holyality, if you will, and just reinvest the place.
Is that a word? Holyality?
It is now. I create words like
That's awesome.
Like if you're talking about the level of sacredness of an object, it's the sacredity level.
Wow.
So if you know the sacredity level of a sacred object, then you know how sacred it is.
But, you know, I guess the way I would attempt to close a portal like that would be basically through meditation, through spirituality, to basically surround that portal in light so that, you know, whatever entity was trying to come through it would basically see that, you know, it was a protected place.
This is a no-fly zone.
Right. This is exactly just like I say to my house. This is a no-fly zone. So I mean, that would be. I guess that would be the first thing I would try to close a portal.
That would make sense.
Even if I could identify where it was.
Yeah, you'd have to know it was there and where it was, but you'd have to know all that first. But unfortunately, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the SEPS Paranormal Podcast. I'd like to thank all of you who listen live, all the people who are in the chat room. You guys are awesome. All the people who listen on the various and sundry places. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Just search for SEPS Paranormal, and you can follow us there. In 2 weeks, our next show is going to be catching up on previous investigations, because Eric's group and my group have had a couple of investigations under their belt now. We're just going to kind of talk about some of what we've been dealing with lately with clients, investigations, equipment, etc. So join us in 2 weeks for that. But we will see you all then. I hope everyone has a great rest of the week, and bye, everybody.
See you in 2 weeks.